Alright, what's good everybody? So this is going to be a video in which I discuss which of the SHOTOs that are currently in the game are the best. I will not be discussing Luke, as I don't consider Luke to be a traditional SHOTO, just like the three that are going to be shown in this video. So right off the bat, we're going to be starting with Ryu, and Ryu overall as a character has seen a lot of changes throughout this game, despite only being like really only like one real balance patch, unless you consider the mini patch that we had early in like the first few months of this year. He's been very touched up on though, in the first year and by the end of it too, because this for one leaves you now closer on block and on hit too. So as I've shown before in a different video, he can now, on a meaty situation, if this hits meaty and if it's not counter hit, he can actually get a 6-framer in and get a full combo out of it too. His overall damage on his Tatsus have been buffed, and he now has good Oki on his light donkey kick, and not only that too, but he also has that. He's able to string his light into light donkey kick, which he couldn't do before, which is actually really damn annoying. But aside from that, he still has like he's got good pressure now because of the fact that his Hashos on block for one. They leave you close enough to the opponent so you can actually get a grab, a strike throw situation mix, and also he still has this, which for some reason I got counter hit. Which, let me see, shut that off. He's +2 here in this situation, which I need to actually show it. Wow. 0, interesting. He's +1 here. Well, we saw that he was +0 here at worst, but there we go, +2. So he's +2 here, so he gets a strike throw mix. We already know how his damage output is. His damage output is fucking ridiculous. And just to show that, I'm going to be doing this for every character. This is from what I remember to be his highest damaging combo. Whoops. Let's do that again. There we go. As you can see here, 69.33, so it's just like 70 health points shy away from 70k. So if you happen to get that punish, just know that's quite literally 3/3 of your opponent's health. So overall, like, Ryu is very viable as a character now, which every character in this game, in my opinion, have always had some viability to them, even the ones that we consider trash, which speaks good overall on like the game's balance. And if I like the overall, like, generally speaking, on like the overall balance of the game has been actually really good for a vanilla version of a fighting game, especially compared to like how the older games were. Ryu has never felt to me like he he was in dire need of help, but he definitely needed a few things to be touched up because over time throughout the first season, it was clear that there was at least a good small gap between like him and everybody else, especially with Ken, since Ken was the poster child for like good pressure and other things like that. But we'll be getting into him after. But another thing with Ryu is that he has this now. He can EX into a super from mid-screen. Whoops. I believe, yes, he can do that with the meterless Denjin Charge Fireball too. So he has that now, which is actually really good. And I've seen that used in high level matches now too. He's still good at putting plus frames on you. He's still, you know, in a way, kind of bare bones to me still. Well, he's still like the honest Ryu character that we all love and stuff, right? He doesn't have anything that, you know, would still relatively crack the opponent's shell open like that. Like a command grab, like that kind of thing, you know. He has nothing that's like completely abusable, but he has very strong tools for what they are that are just shy outside of like being broken, you know, which is good, which is really good. That makes a character like this feels rewarding to win with, and that's why I believe that most people like love Ryu as a character too. Not only just to play him, but also just for the fact that he's like so damn iconic. So that's Ryu and stuff. That's how much I'm able to gauge from my perspective for the time being, because ever since season 2 dropped, pretty much after Akuma, he's been on my mind for the most part, and we'll get to him lastly. But I have taken Ryu into matches, and he is feeling more effective, but he still is, you know, feeling the same way, you know, that how he has before. He's really strong in my opinion still, and you wouldn't be, you know, selling yourself short from my point of view if you pick this character. But moving on from that now. All right, so Ken I'll probably run through Ken real quick just because like there's not much that is needed to be said that we don't already know, because the balance patch did not change much for certain characters. Like Ken didn't really get touched too much at all, and I think that's fair, because from my end of things, Ken has never been a character that well, for one, people saw was like top 1 for one. I don't see that out of Ken personally. Me, feel free to like hate on that opinion, and feel free to like, you know, say whatever you want, but there's a reason to that, and if you're willing to listen, then just hear me out with this. Ken does have good tools, like the run DP stuff is able to go through Guile's Sonic Blade. That's why I love playing this character for one. Dragon Lash is still good, because if the opponent does block, they are -1, and if they block it while crouching, they're -2. So strike throw mix there. However, his tools don't come without risk, because while this move is powerful when it lands, and if they get like on any hit, period. However, it is also very susceptible to things like perfect parry and drive impact, just because of the startup and the fact that, you know, you can really string this. Like there's a huge gap in between like the standing fierce and the actual dragon lash, in which the opponent can do anything. They could perfect parry it, they can super it, they can EXDP it, they can DI it, and I've had that happen a lot during matches and stuff. So it's become like an option that I'm less willing to use, which I mean, based on my own philosophy in like fighting games, I don't even think you should really abuse a button that much, even if the button is broken and able to be abused like that. It's just not healthy as a player to rely on these things, which it's starting to show. It started to show at least, because like at a certain point, my matches, as I got better and better and stuff, I'm reaching at a level in which, you know, players are really eyeballing like every small little thing you do. So even a light whiff like this is already enough to be a mistake to cost me the match. So this with the amount of time that it takes for me to get over to Ryu, it's a huge window to get fucked in. So while it is a good move, it definitely comes with its risk. And that's not to also say that it's the only one, because Jinrai also has its own faults, which people don't really capitalize on, which it's not the easiest thing to do, but it does have its gaps. Like, as you can see here, like medium Jinrai, which is the most common one, uses -7. So if the opponent was woke enough and they wanted to like take advantage of that, they could punish me for that too, or try to EXDP me. But if I do even the low, it's -5. So any reversal that's 5 frames could eat me up on both ends. It's not commonly done though, but it is an option that I've seen very few players take advantage of. But not only that, which I'm gonna show right now, this can happen too, which is something that I've even done in the mirror match myself against Ken's. Ken is very susceptible to things like that, and also even this, because there's a 1 frame gap in there in which you could do any reversal you want pretty much, which leaves Ken having to like be careful and mindful about even throwing a move that we perceive to be so safe like this. Now it's not to say that this move is bad though. Like, I know I'm putting it off like it's a bad move, but Jinrai is still amazing just because of how flexible the move is. Because while they can do things like parry it, which, hold on, let me turn this on. You can also bait the reversals too, like the parry, unless you do the EX reversals. But situations like this are so common with players that it makes Ken scary to like deal with if you're not wanting to like block or anything. And I've even been on that end myself too, like in the mirror match. But if you're on the other end of it and you are the Ken player, like, you'll find that you've been able to take advantage of situations like that so many times. And it's still one of Ken's strongest tools too. Like, even up till now, on every level, I've always had 1 or more players fall for it 2 to 3 times per game and stuff. because it's not easily predictable to know like whether he's gonna go for the low or even the high. And then if they get hit by the high, this can be canceled in level 3, which is hit confirmable. But it's not the only one either. As I mentioned, he had the runs and stuff. He also has the run overhead and stuff, which can also be canceled in the level 3. Now, these moves are also not without their faults either. As I said, like in some situations, if I can find it, where is it? Well, I can be DI'd in the middle of that, right? But I could, as you can see here, also cancel that into level 3, which that is an option Ken has too. So a lot of these can be beaten out if you're not expecting like the opponent to like do reversals through it, but it is a layer that you should know exists and stuff. So what they can counter you with, you can counter their counters. So it's still relatively in your favor to do things like whoops, you can actually punish this. Let me show you. So like that. So you can do things like that, right? So there's always another layer that you can have to defend yourself if your opponent is constantly punishing your that first layer of offense, which is like the Jin Rise, the fucking Dragon Lashes. So but you also have to be ready for it. Aside from that though, you know, he's got good combos and stuff. You know, easy 30% there. And then on punish counter, he has the iconic run cancels. Also 30% there. Resets. And then the Oki setups and stuff. And even after level 3, he has something like that too. So he still has these things that are so damn strong that can win at any level. So I'm not here to say that Ken is like bad. It's just that I believe that, well, I've been believing for a good amount of time now that we've gotten to know the character and become so familiar with him that he's not as scary as like maybe he once was thought to be. At least to me, since I've spent so much time with the character, I know quite literally everything about Ken. So whenever I run into that mirror match, I just know what to expect. But I also know the small gaps that he does have. But don't get me wrong when I say that this character doesn't have, for one, good buttons. Good buttons. All his lights, his mediums, both his mediums, whether crouching or standing. All these buttons are so good. And he can rack up good damage too. And I already shown you some of the setups that he has too. And I've still been able to catch like most most players locally and online with some of the setups that I've shown here. But um, his real strengths is where like he takes advantage of like his buttons and stuff, and the fact that he is on the easier end to like play, because doing things like this are easy and stuff. This is not that hard. Once you have the run cancel thing down, it's pretty much the easiest thing in the world. So Ken is strong. Ken is still the same in my eyes. Oh, also, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but throw Oki is still there. You know, he still has throw loops and stuff. +1 if you dash in. Nothing's changed. He has an EX Fireball meaty setup, and on block it's +7, so you get a standing fierce frame trap there. So Ken is still really damn strong. He's also a character I believe that you wouldn't be you wouldn't be selling yourself short if you played him either, which I don't think anybody ever believed that, to be honest. But now I'm gonna show his the highest damaging combo I know he has. So 62%. Compared to the other Shotos, he's probably on the lower, or by far the lowest damaging out of them when it comes to like dumping meter and stuff, because any other combo would just barely rack you up to 6k, which I'm gonna show here actually. Like a combo like this, for example. $55k, right? So that's me dumping all my meter just for like a basic combo, right? And there are characters that can do a similar string like that and get past the 6.k mark, which I believe is something that it's not really bad for Ken, but it is kind of something that you know, you kind of have to take into account when comparing him to like the other Shotos. The other Shotos by far hit the hardest when it comes down to dumping meter, but on average he can still do a relatively good amount of damage on average. That's where his strengths are and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much Ken. Do one more combo. Just barely making that 6.k mark. But now I'm going to be moving on to Akuma. Okay, so the boy right here, Akuma, he has so much. There's so much to this character that I won't be able to skim through as quick. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can. But basically, just to break a rundown on everything. Also I didn't mention before, which I should have mentioned this. Fireball, Drive Rush. Ken has that. Ken has this, which is a good strength of his. Back to Akuma. Anyways. While Akuma doesn't have that kind of like advantage, what he does have is pretty much everything else. So He's got the air fireballs, which, just to note to anybody who only touched on every other Street Fighter but 5 and 6, he cannot do this in neutral jump or in back jump, which it hurts me just because I grew up playing Akuma in 4. So getting used to not being able to do anything here but the OD version, or do anything at all here. Like, see, I ain't getting shit out here. It's odd, but at least he still has a good fireball in some way. Because to be honest, like, he's still able to do like fireball shenanigans here, even with the fact that it's only able to be done through a forward jump. He can still tiger knee it, and he can combo off it, even off of counter hit, as you can see here. Right? So he has a lot of things to help his neutral game that the other Shotos can't by default, right? Like, Akuma always had like standard things that, you know, he's known for, just like mentioned previously, the air fireball, the regular fireball, the Shakunetsu fireball, which is different in this game, but it's very very useful in combos, which I'll mention. He's got the Tatsu, which is something I'm gonna note for anybody who, every Akuma player should know this too. He's got the demon flip. He's got the dive kick with the demon flip. He's got the chop for one, which is plus on block. But he doesn't have a grab this time around. But what he can do is an empty jump. And from there, on certain situations where like he may get this, he can side switch. Or he can stay in front, right? But he would just be outside of range for grab. But he can have those situations, right? And also a new move too. So his teleport doesn't work the same way it did before. So for one, it's not a DP motions with all kick. It is now just holding back and pressing all 3 kicks. However, it is not invulnerable to normals, but he got this now. He's got a command grab now. And I'm not really too sure on how people feel about the command grab, but from my experience with it, this move is, well, for the time being, it's one of the more abusable moves that you could do. Maybe not abusable in the sense like you just throw it out of nowhere and just do it, but it's a move that people don't expect. So let's say you're conditioning your opponent with fireballs, right? And they're parrying and parrying. They see this and they hold parry. You're gonna punish them for easy 29%, pretty much 3K at that point for just a command grab, which he can do from half screen range or starting position. Not only that too, but let's say we're in the corner. That's fast as shit. He can do this straight on wake up too, or on the opponent's wake up. It's a really good tool to have and stuff, especially if you two are in neutral. There would be times where like maybe my opponent would be blocking my shit, right? But then like I knew he was just sitting back and just staring down, so you just grab him. And that's gotten pretty much every player I faced so far. I say that over time that people may get too familiar with it. Because right now we're just getting used to the fact that, you know, we're getting used to everything about the new season. So over time, players may see it immediately and have the reactions to, and the knowledge to know like, okay, like he has this, I shouldn't just be holding down parry every time I see fireballs. Or they would know better to be weary of this, so they would be able to escape this more often than not, which you are very punishable if the opponent does jump out of it. But it's nice to have and stuff, you know. It's a command grab. Other than that, he also has this, the Animate Fist. It's this move is it doesn't work like a Jinrai, because it doesn't even work like a Hasho, because throwing this out in neutral, and let's say like the opponent blocks, you are minus 8 on the light version, you are minus 4 on the medium version. So both these versions are punishable, and on the heavy version you're minus 2, right? So you mostly would use these for combos. The light version, or every version in fact, actually, if I can get it right, they're all cancelable to level 3, but the EX version is cancelable to level 2, and the level 2 setup is actually similar to Ryu's Hashogeki super, so except without the charge, so you can extend the combo from there, as you saw there, which it's always good to have. Like, he's got good supers, man. Dude, this character is just like so fucking good, man. I fucking love him. But going back to the Animate Fist, it's also how you would get like it's how you would punish most of his. It's how you would want to start a punish on certain moves. Like someone whiffs a DP, this is the move you want to use and stuff. Because something that I didn't mention before is his normals. His normals are pretty standard as far as Shotos go. Like, his mediums tend to be on the stubbier side, but he also has the overhead too. But this button here has a target combo follow up after, so it's basically a chin buster thing, similar chin buster combo. And on block it's +1, so every character has something like that. His crouching medium kick is on the stubbier side of things, so it's not something that you want to try to like play footsies with. It is still good though, because it's still cancelable. You can still do this into standing fierce. And also, it is helped by the fact that Akuma's walk speed is the fastest out of any Shoto, which is something I really like about him too. And speaking more forward on his normals and stuff, I already mentioned this. This is a good poke. Where this can't touch Ken, this will. So this is something good to have to like back the opponent up and like sort of fight them with normals and shit. Aside from those though, you have his standing fierce, which is the best out of the Shotos, because this shit is a 9 framer. So it beats both Ken's and Ryu's by 1 frame. And also it has a huge cancel window, so it's got every bit of glory that the other Shotos has, except it's faster by like a frame. So pretty good stuff, and it propels you forward too, so it's good to like punish certain moves. Now he also has this command normal right here. It leads into a auto combo, which I don't really find myself using much anyways. It does give you a meaty setup though, so I guess that's good. But what I personally like to use this in is like on counter hit. You can extend the combo because you're +6. And you know you can extend the combo from there and stuff. So I find this to be useful. And sometimes if the opponent's being like chased back, like if they roll back, you can run forward and just throw this out, and it'll reach them trying to, you know, run back away from you, which is, it's good to have because any straight hit that does damage is good at the end of the day, even if it's as simple as this. And then he has the standing heavy kick and stuff. The second hit can be ducked under, and it's -13, so it's not a move that you can just throw out freely and shit. It is good to punish moves from a distance though, especially against characters like Marissa and Geef. Even though I would go for this personally, because this move, if this move is starting to, the more you use this move in a combo, whether you start it or use it in between, the combo will scale harder, and it's very noticeable. So I only use that move for combo for certain punishes, because it will reach certain characters like from very far, and also it's confirmable. You're +7, right? So you can extend that with this, and you can go into a full combo there. So it's very handy to have. It's not something that you just throw out at random like certain other moves like this, for example, but it does have its application. Now, as far as like Oki setups here and there, I mean, there's a lot that Akuma can do. Like, he has a safe jump mid-screen. He can do this. He's +4. He's got a lot of other things in the corner, which it'd be forever to go through all of it. But overall, this character is, dude, he's got a lot, and there's still more to explore too. But it takes a while to become a true master of a character like Akuma, because he's more on the technical side as far as like Shotos go, because the amount of combo like potential he has, like being able to like, actually no, jump, like that shit right here. Like doing just shit right, like that was a shitty combo, but he can do shit like that, and it doesn't even end there. Like my combo that I just did right there was very basic and very like unfinished, right? But there's a lot more that he can do that can bring the opponent like closer to the corner, like this, for example. Like there's better. I'm fucking up the combos, but you get the idea. His combo game is by far the best out of any Shoto and stuff, and the damage output wasn't even that bad. He does require you to dump meter to get some of these though, but the reward in it is that he gets good corner carry. He gets at least good damage, and you know, he may even get like good Oki situation after too. Who knows? There's a lot to the character. Now, I'm gonna keep things short with Akuma because there's a lot to discuss that, you know, I still have to investigate myself, and also that I just want to keep things short. So this is the highest damaging combo I know. Oh shit, I fucked it up. There we go. 69.52. So that is just like, that's like, if I remember right, that's like 20 health points above what Ryu can do. So they both relatively share the same amount of damage when it comes to like their bigger combos. But what he has over, I say, well, actually, I'm not really sure about that. And like the average Akuma BNB probably would be like, so 36%. So it's close to what Ryu and Ken just naturally do. So in that end, he's still even with them, but he only slightly beats Ryu on average when it comes to his bigger combos and stuff. But he by far is better than Ken's. Overall, though, as much as like just right off the bat with what I do know and what I have like experience within game, both online and offline, like Akuma by far is like one of the best characters. And this will lead me up to my conclusion at this point. So overall, ranking the three Shotos, I am ready to say I believe Akuma to be the best, which to some that's really not much of a surprise that to anybody, I guess, but I want to explain why I specifically like believe that, which it's not based on any form of like fanboyism here and there. Akuma, I mean, what else is there to say? Like, aside from the health thing, like there really is no reason to play Ryu or Ken, in my opinion, over him right here, unless it was for like the aspect of like, hang on a sec. Interesting. All right, never mind. My bad. If it like his fireballs. Oh, I didn't even mention this. His fireballs are not only one framer faster than Ryu's. His heavy fireball also travel faster than Ryu's. But not only do they travel faster than Ryu's, they also travel faster than Guile's. And there was a video on it where a guy pulled up like a data chart, like showing like the differences between like the fastest fireballs, and Akuma's heavy fireball actually travels faster than Guile's by like a hair, while traveling faster than Ryu's by a good margin. All that while having faster recovery too. So his fireball game is already better, not even considering this, but because he has this too, it just solidifies it. He's got the demon flips and stuff, so anytime like during the fireball war he does this, it's a combo even out of punish counter. Plus frames with this command grab. And before I end things off too and go further with my conclusion, is he does have the demon, and the shortcut to it has been changed, so it's not 3 inputs anymore, even though, see, I get the heavy punch from there, so it's now 2 lights, a forward, and then pressing LK and heavy punch at the same time. So the shortcut has been reduced to 4 inputs now, but it is what it is. Also, the thing is, he can't Kara into demon just like the other games he could, but they gave us the benefit of the doubt and they allowed this to be a thing. You can now actually combo into a demon. And while it's only available on the critical art state, it will do higher damage than the regular level 3 critical art. So yeah, there's that. Um, what did I mention? He's got the teleport. Demon Flip mentioned that. Um, overall, he's just literally made to be better by giving away 10% of his health, which it is noticeable, but it's not much as a detriment as you think, because characters that were already two touchers, of course they'll two touch Akuma and stuff, but it's not like they're it's just not much of a difference to me, because a lot of characters do already quite a good amount of damage anyways, even to like the regular health cast. Plus Akuma has a lot of tools to just deal with everything else. Like his strengths outweigh that weakness to me. Yes, enough so where you wouldn't. It kind of be dumb, honestly, not to pick him. Like, if you really were to like go with a Shoto and stuff and like narrow down, all right, who would be my best pick to like just like straight win? It has to be this guy, hands down. He can literally do this same string that Ken can do. Also, he can fucking do this. It's endless. It's endless, man. But now I'm gonna move on from that because it's fair to discuss. Let's put him in costume 3. I like costume 3. Now it's time to discuss how I feel about Ryu and Ken. Now, I thought about this a lot. I mean. And I was a very, very skeptical on like how much better Ryu was and how much closer he was to Ken. Nowadays, after really, really thinking through it, I'd say they're relatively even. And even when I say that, I wouldn't be so opposed to the idea of Ryu being just a hair better than Ken, just for the fact that Ryu's damage output is retarded compared to Ken's. I've already shown like a basic jump in BMB. Like, Ken is not going to be doing that kind of damage even after just one simple drive rush combo. Like, that's already damn near like 50%. It's 44%, but his damage output has been increased. His Tatsu damage has been increased too. It's but it's Ryu. I don't believe Ryu is gonna get in that many hits as often as Ken can, just because Ken's normals feel much better to me. Like, they're much faster for one, and he's still able to do things like, well, I mean, now Ryu has this, so I guess it evens it out. Actually, I think they're pretty even. Ryu has just enough now to get in hits, but is in his own way, right? While Ken just stood the same pretty much the entire time. While Ryu is just able to like kind of bully through the opponents by establishing plus frames like this. And now he gets like donkey kick Oki like this. And that's already enough that's pretty much already enough damage. It's similar damage to what Ken can do, but Ken has to work harder for that same amount of damage compared to Ryu. Like that was a real simple like combo that I did there. But the one that I showed earlier on his like max combo bit, that requires a bit more execution, because you can whiff that EX Jinrai pretty easily. But I still think that Jinrai is a better tool than this, because this you would rely on. You would have to rely on this to be meaty. So after like you get a light Tatsu in, which you already need to get a hit in, but Ken doesn't need that. Ken can just come up to you and string this. And even though I mentioned the fact that, you know, things like Jinrai and the follow-ups after can be punished in some way, and even the Dragon Lash, it's not like they're gonna get the correct counter to it every time too. And mid-screen, as you can see here, look how spaced out I am compared to Ryu. Well, I fucked that one up. And now we're back in a position where he has to move towards me to get the hit. And if he whiffs something, if he throws something out first in an attempt to whiff or to beat my Jinrai, you know, it's a crouching medium kick into, you know, death pretty much. So, and I still believe like some aspects of Ken's pressure is better overall than Ryu's. Somewhat, but I still think Ryu has other things now to balance that out. So for the most part, I believe they're even. However, I will say that I've put more time in with Akuma and Ken this patch than I have Ryu. But Ryu is not that hard of a character to figure out, for me at least. Just because of how all three are so similar to each other. So I can already see like the potential of Ryu, and I know there's like things that even I'm not putting into practice yet. While a character like Ken, I know everything pretty much there is to about Ken, so I know enough to know that he hasn't changed much. He's still relatively the same, while everybody else has gotten downgraded, upgraded. So Ken's right where he's always been, but now everybody else has moved. And all I can say is the direction that Ryu moved is definitely not down. It's just been up the whole time. So they both share the same spot with me. But underneath or above both of them is Akuma, hands down. So that's my take on everything. I'm glad I was able to get through this actually quick as shit, because I could have really broken down things like to a deeper level, but it would have made this probably like a 2-hour video if I were to go through each individual thing. So I'm not gonna do that because I got other things to do. Check everything. Yep, that's good. So I'll be seeing y'all around. I hope you enjoyed the video if you stuck through it, and I hope y'all have a good day. See ya.